Troy, your boy, 66. Coop and Evans are starting for both of my fantasy football teams, but I have Saquon. Saquon is a no-doubt start in every single fantasy football league. Cooper Kupp or Amari Cooper and Mike Evans, if you'd ask me right now, I'd probably actually leaning towards playing Amari Cooper.
The reason he's upset is because as we're live here, both those guys are, I guess, questionable-ish. They're dealing with injuries, so hopefully both those guys play. I like having all three of those guys on my team, though. That's a good draft by you. That's well done there. Saquon's obviously, he's going to get you 20, 25 points a week.
Got another super chat coming in here. Make sure that you're using hashtag fantasy. This is going to be a fantasy football mailbag. Usilis Ventura. I have Calvin Ridley, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, and DK Metcalf in fantasy, and I need to pick 2 to start this week. Can I get some help? For me, I'm going to go Ridley.
I'm going Metcalf against the Seahawks against the Falcons secondary.
Okay.
I'll go Metcalf. It's a high risk play, but he could have a big week. And I may actually go Boyd there. Boyd's been really consistent the past 2 years. So I'll go one steady player in Boyd and one boomer bust guy in Metcalf. I'm not a big Ridley guy, to be honest. He's been underwhelming at times. And Marquise Brown, I need just a little bit more. I don't know how much they're going to throw the football.
I would go Ridley and Metcalf. He would go Boyd and Metcalf. So at least you can start
Metcalf.
Rohit, what's up, my brother? Fantasy, rank this team. So Matt Ryan, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Julio, Mike Evans, Tyler Higbee, Galladay, 49ers, Greg Zorline from 1 to 10.
It depends how many teams in your league. I think that's pretty good, though.
If it's a 10-team league, I will give you a B+. If it's a 12-team league, that's an A for me. If it's an 8-team league, I'd give you a C grade.
I'd also like to see the bench as well, but I assume that's just your starting lineup. That's pretty good. I mean, I got Matt Ryan too. You can get him late. He's a top 10 fantasy guy every year.
I'm going to guess this is a pretty small league.
Maybe an 8-man league?
Oh, Galladay, Julio, and Evans, those are, Yeah,
that's probably an 8-person league. But let us know.
Yeah, let us know, man. June, Odell or JuJu this week? All right, I like this question a lot. I'm probably going to end up going with JuJu, and for the simple reason of if JuJu has a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, they've been a very dynamic duo. I just don't believe in Odell because, to me, he's the second best receiver on that team.
How about matchups, too? Browns are on the road in Baltimore.
Yeah.
The Steelers are playing the Giants. And that's a Monday Night Football game. I love having guys on Monday Night Football.
That's true.
Because you stay in the game, right? Like, I know it doesn't really matter, but I just like that mental thing of, hey, I got a player on Monday night, and the matchup is better. I would play JuJu against the Giants.
Go to the next question here from Zach Taylor. Kyler or Kirk?
This is going to be Kyler every week until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care who Kyler's going up against. He's one of my favorite matchups. I believe they're going up against the 49ers this week on the road.
I'll still play him.
That does scare me. The thing, though, with Kyler Murray is last year he had a 3.74% touchdown rate. Look for that number to be up at around 6. Kyler Murray is by far one of my favorite quarterbacks, and yes, I'm going to play Kyler Murray over Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
When it comes to the fantasy quarterback, though, there are two guys, and I believe every single person had a debate in their mind of, who's the best quarterback this upcoming season for fantasy football? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Type PM. Is it Lamar Jackson? Type LJ. And you know what? We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, scroll on down and let us know. PM for Patrick Mahomes or LJ for Lamar Jackson. I don't know about you, Harrison. I would have been typing my LJ for Lamar Jackson because of that running ability.
Go either way. It depends on your league scoring as well.
Okay. I don't know. I'm going to go Lamar. Lil Anon. I get that right? Thoughts on Melvin Gordon?
I stayed away from Broncos running backs because I don't know what they're going to do there. Phillip Lindsay was great the past 2 years, but then they signed Gordon. So I don't really know what their game plan is there, how they're going to utilize. I think it's going to be a lot of split carries, Mitch. I did not touch him. I think he's an okay flex play, RB3 type. If he's your number 2 running back, I think you're pretty thin there. If he's RB3, that's probably okay.
To me, this is an offense that wants to actually start to throw the football a little bit more. A lot of the moves that they made in the draft, plus with Drew Lock, it does seem like that. And for the Broncos, especially Melvin Gordon, he's been very, very heavily in for touchdowns. His yards per carry has not been very solid. So for me, I actually definitely stayed away from Melvin Gordon this year. Go to Elite LM10. Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, or Gallup for flex, I'm going Tyler Lockett.
Let's look at the matchups. I'm probably with you.
Tyler Lockett's the number 1 receiver on the Seattle Seahawks.
And it's against Atlanta. I don't like that secondary. Lockett's the play here. Wait and see on Jeudy. I don't think you should play Jeudy in any scenario in Week 1. Or really, CeeDee Lamb's probably the only rookie receiver worth a start in Week 1. I think
Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is the wide receiver 1 on the Raiders. Going up against a very, very bad Carolina secondary.
Yeah, okay, maybe. Okay, that's fair. Outside of that, I would wait on rookies. Gallup's going to be a good play most weeks, though. So
if I were to rank these guys, it'd be Tyler Lockett 1, Michael Gallup 2, and then Jerry Jeudy at
number 3. Like a distant third, by the way, for Jeudy.
Let's go to X-Ray. Remember to use #fantasy to get your fantasy football questions on the show, or you can super chat to guarantee them that they come on. Who takes rookie wide receiver of the year?
Let's keep it fantasy perspective, like top fantasy rookie.
Honestly, I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb.
I think it's Lamb, even though it's a quiet wide receiver room. I just think he's going to get more targets. I'll say this. If Rager only misses 1 game in Philadelphia, just due to the fact that they have major question marks at wide receiver, he might get a lot of targets there. He had a really good camp before the injury. I think he's a sleeper guy to be good in fantasy, but I think Lamb's the obvious pick.
Yeah, I think another sleeper to at least think about, don't forget, is Justin Jefferson,
number 2 in
who's going to be taking over for the Stephon Diggs role. And then the names escape me. Who's the rookie receiver from the Bengals? T. Higgins. A lot of good reports coming out of camp right now around
That depends on
A.J.
Green's health.
Exactly. And am I confident A.J. Green's going to play? No. But for me, when I think of rookie of the year almost, it's also
opportunity.
It's also about value, though. So you can get him very, very late, T. Higgins, very, very late compared to some of these other guys that were going a little bit earlier. All right, Nailed, what's up, Deebo or DK?
I'll go DK for 2 reasons. One, Deebo's banged up right now. I don't know if he's playing this week. I think he's going to miss Week 1. He's progressing nicely, but probably going to miss this week. And 2, DK is even though they don't throw it enough, they still are going to throw it more than San Francisco.
Yeah,
so I'll go DK Metcalf.
Big believer there. Make sure y'all are staying safe. I'm pretty sure DK Metcalf could just punch the coronavirus in the face and just smash it. But hey, we're not all built like DK Metcalf, so you're going to have to go out and wear a face mask. Go to chatsports.com/stay safe. Make sure y'all are doing the right things. If you plan on going to any games this year, if you plan on going out in public, guess what? You're going to have to wear a mask. Luckily for you, we're hooking you up with some special deals here. If you want to get that pack of 4, you can get that for $29.99.
Yeah, it's the best value up there. We got 1 packs all the way up to 4 packs. We got player packs available as well for all the top stars on all of your favorite teams. Chatsports.com/stay safe. That link is in the comments and it's in the description.
Matty Jackson, Dak, Christian McCaffrey, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Darren Waller, and Gallup on my fantasy team. Can you rate it? So Dak is a
6-man league?
Yeah, I mean, this is a small league, I would imagine. But so you had the number 1 overall pick, or at least top 2 or 3. If this is a 8-man league, I'll give you a B+.
It's even good in an 8-man.
That's the thing. I mean, you got a lot of depth here. So yeah, this is a very, very good team, Matty. So maybe you could give us some pointers here or there. And heck, maybe you could answer some questions for us. So make sure everyone continues to use #fantasy. Spoonie D, that was my nickname in college. Defense and slot flex for fantasy. So
well, he said Seahawks defense. I don't mind the Seahawks defense as a play. As far as slot flex, look for running backs who can catch the football, or maybe you went deeper at receiver and start a receiver.
If you want to flex for DraftKings, go with a guy like Chris Thompson, a very, very sneaky guy who, guess what? The Jags, they're going to be trailing in a lot of games, and he's going to be cheap. XYU640, Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins?
This is a tough one. I'm going to lean Dobbins kind of blindly here, even though Taylor might get more carries. If it's PPR, I think it's Dobbins for sure.
See, I'm actually going to go Jonathan Taylor going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game
maybe
they're going to control. If you want a running back that I think could really turn out to be somebody that finishes in the top 5, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Jonathan Taylor. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah,
they traded up for him in the draft. I know they have
Marlon
Mack there.
In college. Maybe that changes in Indianapolis. But
a lot of times rookie running backs don't get a lot of receptions right away unless you were drafted in the first round.
Yep.
But for me, Jonathan Taylor has that upside to seriously be at like 1,250.
Keep in mind, the Ravens are going to run it about 60 times a game. So Dobbins is going to be a good play as well.
That's true. BL, what's up? Is Aaron Rodgers done?
I don't like his fantasy value. I stayed away from him in my draft the other night. I didn't touch any Packers. I'm out on the Packers this year in fantasy. I don't trust them. Adams is still a good play because he's going to get targets.
Even Aaron Jones. I mean, he had 19 touchdowns
Jones is still
last
valuable,
year.
But
A lot of regression candidates.
I'd rather wait and take a quarterback later than go take Rodgers.
The reason why I don't go after Aaron Rodgers is because of the name value. Because there's going to be somebody there in your draft that took Aaron.
He wasn't good last year in fantasy, by the way. He was like the 16th quarterback or something
26
like that.
touchdowns, which and pretty low yard production as well.
Not
so
great.
To the 1,500 people watching right now, what I want you all to do right now is name a fantasy sleeper for 2020. Unfortunately,
the Packers don't have any.
My fantasy sleeper has been starting to get a lot of hype. I've been going with Antonio Gibson, running back from the Washington football team.
Anymore.
That's the issue, right? I mean, as soon as they got rid of Peterson, I was like, oh, man, here we go. Here we go. For me, though, it's Antonio Gibson.
Deep sleeper, Zach Moss, Buffalo. Late in your draft, 14th, 15th round, I think he's got some value.
So if you guys could, name a sleeper for 2020. I see Kyle Rudolph, Jordan Reed, Carlos Hyde. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, unfortunately, is not a sleeper.
McCole Hardman for the Chiefs? Deep.
Oh, dude, I
took Hardman in
McCole
round
Hardman.
15 last night. I got him late.
Yeah, somebody said Zach Moss and Carlos Hyde. I'm continuing to see that. CeeDee Lamb, Chris Carson, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is actually an interesting one because he's now going to be the main tight end there for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
So continue to let us know. Name a fantasy sleeper for 2020. These two are definitely not sleepers. If you had to pick Kittle or Kelce, who's the number one tight end in fantasy?
Oh, I think it's clear for fantasy. I think it's easily Kelce. He's going to have more targets, more catches, and more yards.
Here's my only argument. In 2018, when George Kittle was the only option there, he did set the record for most receiving yards by a tight end. And with all the injuries at the tight end...
This is Nick Mullins, bro. This is Jimmy G.
With all the injuries that the 49ers have, it wouldn't surprise me if actually Kittle gets a little bit closer to Kelce in terms of targets.
It could happen. I'm still
going to go with Kelce.
The evidence is what it is, and based on what we know, it's Kelce until proven otherwise. 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
He's been the number one fantasy tight end
97 catches for over 1,200 yards last year. You don't find that production at tight end very often.
If you want a sleeper tight end, Chris Herndon of the Jets, because they have nobody that they can throw to. Shrek's Toes, that is a weird name.
Shout out for you saying it's a 10-man league, by the way.
10-man league, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams, Breeze, Saints D, Singletary, Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Kittle. Oh, wow. That's a good team. I give that an
A. Second running back. Leaves me, Singletary is your number
I
two.
actually like Singletary, but for me, this is somebody who went heavy on wide receivers.
Yeah, and if it's PPR, it's definitely a really it's an A-.
And he's got Kittle.
And at least you got Cook, right? Like, your top guy is going to be good as long as he's healthy.
As long as he's healthy.
That's the risk, though. So I'll give it a B+, A-. I love the receiving core.
Blake Jarwin, a sleeper from Robert. I love this question here. So Blake Jarwin.
Could be.
I think this is definitely one. So I used to work for the fantasy footballers, and I talked to a lot of the guys there. So Mike the Hitman Wright, he's been talking about Blake Jarwin a lot as a sleeper, and I actually could see it. I mean, if one of the receivers goes down for the Cowboys, or, I mean, you saw Dak, he relied on Blake Jarwin a lot here. So as a sleeper tight end, I
think he's a draft and stash guy, late in your draft, waiver wire pickup type, where see what he does the first couple of weeks. Maybe go snag them. It's just they have so many weapons. Like, they can't all be very productive. So we'll see what happens. But I would say, saying all of that, he does qualify as a sleeper.